taking three.
Going for the St. Louis now.
Oh no!
Son of a bitch.
You get your two?
Yeah. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thotgor here, of course. And today we are going to take a look at a battle in the old Kamikaze R. Yes, this is a great little destroyer. We've talked about it before on the channel. Right, basically a Kamikaze, not as fast as a Kamikaze. A few other minor differences there, but you know, basically the same ship. I enjoy both the ships. I do enjoy the Kamikaze a little more though, because of those little extra advantages the Kamikaze has, but the Kamikaze is a great little ship nonetheless. And of course I got her through the Pearl Challenge that Wargaming did a few months ago, I believe. I think it was in February or maybe January, can't quite remember, but anyway, got her during that event and I'm quite happy with her. So you can see we are on North, and you know, I wasn't really sure what I was going to do here. I know that going on the west side would most likely result in some pretty big numbers for me, and that would be because, you know, that's typically where all the battleships are going to go on the enemy team. But for whatever reason, right at the beginning I decided I might go to the east, head down that little channel where the sea point usually is. But while I'm going this direction, I do decide, yeah, maybe I'm going to get a little closer, shoot at anything that potentially comes into B. Because if we're looking at, or sorry, that comes into the middle where B would normally be. Because if we're looking at the team composition, the enemy team composition, we do notice they have two destroyers, right? So I kind of figured that one of them might come into the center of the map here. If not, then I would fully expect to see one on the west and one on the east. That's generally a good call there. I mean, obviously they could both go to the same side or the same way, but they'll probably split up most likely. Anyway, you can see that I have made my turn and I'm going to go into B basically. Not all the way, and I'm not going to go up the channel because it's this point in time that I'm thinking to myself, first of all, you know, I want to get a kill. I want to find something, maybe ambush it and get the kill. But then I started thinking, you know, the battle just begun here, Thotgor. Maybe we should take a moment and spot some of these enemy ships, figure out what's going on before we get ourselves in there and get too close. Because when I do play the Kamikaze and the Kamikaze, I really try to stay within that magical 6.1 to 7 kilometers away. Now that is because my detection is at 6 kilometers. So if I'm at least 6.1 kilometers away from a target and they're not using acoustic sonar, I am going to stay hidden, and then my torpedoes have a 7 kilometer range, so then I'll always be able to fire my torpedoes, right? Much like we saw in the replay a few days ago in the Ice-Wakaze that Pudahead had sent in, you know, the rate of fire and the reload speed on these torpedoes on the Kamikaze and on the Kamikaze is really fantastic. So by staying within that golden 6.1 to 7 kilometer range, I can usually get torpedoes out fairly quickly at targets before they're going to spot me or do so much damage to me that I, you know, end up getting killed. As you can see, I'm lining up a nice little ambush here on the Buddy, the Tier 6 Russian cruiser. This player has no idea what's about to happen. So I launched my torpedoes. I was launched those torpedoes unseen, right? No one saw the torpedoes that I launched. There I'm spotted, so now all they see is a Kamikaze running away, or so they think. The Buddy continues to go in a forward, you know, straight line, not really going to be able to do a whole lot against these torpedoes. They're coming in. It's at this point in time you can see the player realizes what's about to happen. Not a whole lot that can be done. There we go, managed to get the kill, and that is the devastating strike. Not first blood though, it looks like that went to another member of my team, so kudos to that player. Now that I'm over here on the west though, I am going to sort of hang around over here now and try and do something about these battleships. There are a number of battleships over here. I think we see two of them, the Fuso and Nagato, but there is another Nagato, so there's 3 battleships. There is a Pensacola, there's a Russian Tier 7 cruiser. We don't see the Tier 7 cruiser as yet. And I think there's a Nuremberg, or maybe it's still that Konigsberg. But anyway, there is quite a few enemy ships over here. So I'm going to try and get myself into position where I can start launching torpedoes at these guys. And we can see there's the Russian cruiser off in the distance, right, riding the map. Well, not riding the map yet, but you'll see that player's going to ride the map here. So we're just lining up some torpedoes and taking a look here at what I've got in front of me. Now the Pensacola does look like a good target, but the Pensacola is sailing away from me. I'm going to have to get a whole lot closer if I want my torpedoes to hit that player. So I'm just going to maneuver myself to get into a better position to potentially fire torpedoes at any one of these targets, right? And this is also a huge benefit here for my team in the background, because I'm spotting all of these ships for my team in the background, so they are going to be able to start taking shots off at my enemy, or at the enemy ships here, and help support me as well, which will be great, because hopefully, you know, the enemies will be too distracted with the players behind them, or behind me rather, and you know, not necessarily pay attention to torpedoes right away. Give me that few seconds where they don't react, where I can actually get in there and get a hit, and maybe actually get a kill as well. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for now, lining up on these enemy battleships. One thing I will say here is, you know, this was a great battle. I thought this was a good battle. I mean, definitely mistakes were made, but overall, good battle. It was interesting to note in chat that there was someone criticizing how quickly it was taking for us, the team, to kill these enemy ships. Now, granted, it did take a little while for some of my allies there in the background to take out any of these cruisers. Frankly, I'm the one who took out the cruisers, but still, I thought it went fairly well, and I didn't think that there was any need to really start criticizing people. But also, it surprised me, you know, how your team can be winning and doing fairly decently, but still, people have criticism. I guess it shouldn't surprise me, but whatever. I got a torpedo hit there on the Cleveland. I forgot about this Cleveland. The Cleveland was the second cruise over here. Anyway, got a torpedo hit on the Cleveland, so I'm going to try and line up a few more torpedoes now in the Cleveland, because this is the best target for me at this point in time. So we're just going to try and anticipate the Cleveland, continuing maybe in a forward line, but we do know, or rather we are about to find out, that the Cleveland's actually in a turn, turning away. I get spotted, I'm going to pop my smoke immediately. Not only is this going to, you know, reduce my, or stop me from being spotted, but it's an added benefit. I can then go back into the smoke that I'm laying right now and start lining up more torpedoes on more enemies. Maybe get a little closer to use that smoke to my advantage. There is my other friendly destroyer, Hatsuaru, so I'm just slowing down so I don't run into this player, because I really don't want to have that happen. And I'm just going to get myself back into a position here where I can start lining up more torpedoes on more enemies. Because you can see the Cleveland did definitely turn away from all of that. That player, you know, wasn't going, or was already in the turn, so my torpedoes didn't really have a chance. But whatever. Quick rate of fire on these torpedoes. If the player would have kept going forward, those torpedoes would have got him. So we're going to get a little closer now, take a look at some of the enemy ships around. I do see the Pensacola. The Pensacola is looking like a pretty juicy target at this point in time. My torpedoes are all reloaded, so I'm just trying to get myself now into position where I can launch these torpedoes. Trying again that golden little range there of 6.1 to 7 kilometers to make sure I'm not seen, but I can still get my torpedoes away. So this was pretty much a perfect launch of torpedoes, right? No one saw me launch those torpedoes whatsoever. As long as the Pensacola remains going forward, those torpedoes are going to come in and hit the player, and I will get my second kill. So that'll be pretty fantastic. I was a little disillusioned with the Hatsuaru player, to be honest. I couldn't believe that the player was, you know, staying so far away, using the full 10-kilometer range on the torpedoes, and using wide spreads on the torpedoes as well. I only generally use a wide spread if I just, you know, denying area for certain enemy ships, or if, you know, I'm firing into smoke and I'm not 100% sure where the player is, then I'm going to use a wide spread. But generally speaking, narrow spread is the way to go if you actually have a target you're firing at. I think the Hatsuaru maybe was just firing random torpedoes, and given the reload time on a Hatsuaru, I definitely would not recommend doing that. When you fire your torpedoes with the Hatsuaru, you should probably have a really good sense that you are going to hit something with those. Anyway, did manage to take out the Pensacola, so that's my second kill. We see the Russian cruiser is bearing down on me here, so I need to turn away. Basically going to try and get myself into a position where I'm parallel to some of these enemy battleships. So the Russian cruiser is getting a little closer. We can see he's almost within range, so I'm going to line up a torpedo here and see if I can't get a hit. I am spotted all of a sudden though, so going to need to do something about this. So I launched 2 torpedoes off at the enemy cruiser, and then we see the enemy destroyer here. It's another Hatsuaru, and this player is the player that spotted me. I didn't realize it when I launched my torpedoes, but the engines on the Hatsuaru are gone, so I really could have held off on those torpedoes a little longer, and I probably would have got a hit on him. Anyway, engines are gone. I'm really close. The player spots me. I'm not going to hold back on my guns at this point in time. I'm going to just fire my guns and get this Hatsuharu gone. I don't care who gets the kill on the Hatsuharu, as long as this player is gone. We won't have to deal with this enemy destroyer, and in fact, it's the last enemy destroyer on the team. So you can see my torpedoes just narrowly avoided the Hatsuharu. If I, would have known that the engines were gone, I would have been able to get that hit on the torpedoes. But it doesn't matter. My guns are about to reload. You can see the Hatsuharu just repaired all of the damage. My shots are going in. And there we go. Take out the Hatsuharu, and that is my third kill for the game. So that's not too bad at all. So now that all the enemy destroyers are gone, I pretty much have free range now on the enemy battleships and cruisers remaining. I mean, there are still some pretty big threats in terms of cruisers, but it's not going to be so bad. My team did just take out another enemy cruiser, so that's fantastic. I think it's the Cleveland remaining on this side that I have to worry about. We still have the Fuso and the two Nagatos that we're going to try and deal with here as well. So now it's just a matter of getting myself back into position to launch more torpedoes. I mean, I did have to turn away because of the whole Hatsuharu incident. I was firing my guns. I really needed to open up the distance so that the enemies wouldn't spot me anymore, because there's really no point in trying to do stealth torpedo runs if you're spotted. Fairly straightforward stuff there. Anyway, we can see the final remaining enemy ships here, so we're just going to try and get ourselves once again into position, basically a parallel course so that I can start firing off the torpedoes. And what we're about to see here as well is the excellent use that I'm making of detection range and torpedo firing distance, right? Because now that I'm in this sort of situation where I don't have a whole lot to worry about in terms of enemy ships, I can really work my torpedo range and my concealment range to maximum advantage here to try and get myself a Kraken. I know we're at 3 kills and the battle is going fairly well here. Probably isn't going to happen, but I'm going to try for it anyway. Why not? So we're going to check out some of these enemy ships. Now the Congo is what I was hoping to go for, but again, the Congo is steaming away from me, so I really need to get closer to this enemy ship if I want to launch any torpedoes off. We do see the Cleveland as well, right? I'm aware of this Cleveland getting a little close, on fairly low health though, so I'm thinking to myself, yeah, we'll launch some torpedoes off this enemy ship here. Maybe I'll hit the Cleveland, take the player out, and get myself another kill. That might work out for me. In the meantime, I'm just going to try and stay parallel to the battleships. For whatever reason, I had picked out the Fuso as being the first battleship I wanted to take down. So that's really what I'm trying to go for here, ultimately. Obviously, yeah, the Cleveland turned away. My torpedoes are not going to hit anything. But still, at least it gave me a little more distance here to work with, because distance is really what I want to work with right now at this point in time. I want to have some maneuvering room so that I can keep this parallel course, or if need be, turn and go the opposite direction while firing torpedoes at the enemies, right? That's always a good play. Now I do still have a smoke charge. I have 2 smoke charges remaining, but I'm holding off on those, right? I usually only use those for emergency situations, and I'm really in a good place right now, so I don't have to worry about getting spotted as of yet. So we're going to start lining up torpedoes here on the Fuso, and I'm trying to think to myself, do I want to continue going parallel, or do I want to turn and go towards the west and fire my torpedoes that way? I do decide that, no, we're going to continue parallel here. We can just get ourselves a little closer. I didn't want to give the Fuso too much room to actually be able to avoid these. So there we go, torpedoes are away, and I'm turning. We're just going to go straight down this channel here where the B cap normally would be, waiting for the torpedoes to land. This Fuso player, though, not a typical battleship driver. This player was very much aware that there is an enemy destroyer, or at least 2 enemy destroyers, right? They can see that we have 2 remaining, but that there are enemy destroyers out there and that they are hunting down the battleship. So this Fuso player, kudos to this player. Really good battleship tactics and evasive maneuvers there by that battleship. Anyway, the Fuso avoided all my torpedoes, so okay, alright, I'm going to come in. We're going to try and line up in this Nagato now. So here my torpedoes are away. Hopefully those will land and do something. But again, I'm I know that I'm fairly close to the target, but these battleships, are engaged with a lot of my other ally ships. So you have to imagine that, these ships are going to be maneuvering in and between their salvos and trying to maneuver in and between my ally salvos. So it makes it a whole lot harder to actually land torpedo hits here. And you could make the argument that maybe, I should be firing 2 and holding 1 in reserve, like we saw Pudahead do the other day in his Isakaze. Yeah, I wasn't too concerned about it at this point in time. I knew that we were going to win this battle. I'm kind of trying for a Kraken at this point in time, but whatever, I don't care. As long as these enemy ships go down and we win, I'll be happy. So we launch off some torpedoes there at the Congo, hoping that, maybe those are going to hit and take out the player, but you can see that my allies are all over that Congo, and there goes the Congo. He's gone. Excellent. Now we just have a Nagato, the Fuso, and we still have the Cleveland. Keep in mind, though, the Cleveland is on really, really low health. We saw the Cleveland take a few more hits from some of my allies, and it didn't work out very well for that Cleveland at all. But anyway, I'm going to start just charging towards these enemy battleships, right? We're going to try and get these guys gone. I still have the Fuso in mind as being the battleship that I want to take down, but this Nagato is looking pretty easy pickings right now, is what I'm thinking anyway. So, I'm going to start lining up potentially on the Nagato, and there we go. We can see that the Cleveland pops up, and you can see how low health that Cleveland is, right? So I was sort of thinking to myself, well, maybe I can get the Cleveland as well here. We'll see. So we're lining up now, or well, at least we're about to line up in this Nagato. But again, the Nagato is steaming away from me, so it's going to make these torpedoes harder to actually hit. I can tell that the Nagato is turning. I'm hoping that he's actually going to continue the turn so much, basically do a 180, so he's going back towards the opposite side of the map. Unfortunately, though, for me, this Nagato is not. He's basically doing a turn and steaming south, which is a good play for the player. Makes a whole lot of sense. I do launch 2 torpedoes at the Nagato and then launch 1 over at the Fuso. I take a look at the Cleveland. Cleveland has no idea I'm here, so why not? I'm going to fire my guns off the Cleveland. Those are going to kill the Cleveland, obviously. There we go. Fantastic. That player probably wasn't too happy, but whatever. And that's my 4th kill, so fantastic. Launch off some more guns there at the Nagato, because he's almost dead as well. I figured, what the hell. I'm going to launch my smoke here to break line of sight, because, obviously the Fuso and Nagato know exactly what I'm doing and where I am, and I'm hoping that I'm actually going to be able to get this Fuso gone. Hoping anyway. This will be my 5th kill as well, and then it's going to go and get me my Kraken, so that'd be pretty great. Now here we go, launching torpedoes at the Fuso. Now the Fuso spots me. This player, not a dumb player, immediately puts it at full steam. I assumed that the Fuso was at full steam, but no, the Fuso is actually alternating his speed right now, and this is what is making the evasion of my torpedoes so effective. It's just the total, I'm not going to say mastery, but the really good use this player is making of throttle, right? You can see that my torpedoes have all missed the Fuso. They all passed to the stern of the Fuso. I didn't see that one coming at all. I thought that the Fuso would have been at full speed. But okay, whatever. I'm going to just wait. I've got some good reload here, so we're going to launch more torpedoes off the Fuso. There they go. And I'm going to launch one a little short, just in case this Fuso does decide to slow down. Unbeknownst to me, as soon as my torpedoes went to the stern of this Fuso, the Fuso player again cut his throttle. I'm not sure, obviously he's still steaming forward, but so not at a stop, but not at full speed either. So the torpedoes that I have on the way for the Fuso now, these torpedoes are all going to miss. Yes, very tragic. This player. But again, you can see what simple alternation of your speed does in a battleship, how much it throws off the enemy destroyers, right? Completely missed once again. And now though, I've got the pattern. I know that now that I've launched those torpedoes and the enemy, has cut his throttle, that now he's working back up to full speed. So I'm going to start lining up my torpedoes and going ahead of the guideline there, of the little white line, right? So I'm going to go ahead of that, because I know that now, if the Fuso sticks to the pattern, is going to go back to full speed. And this is maybe where, you battleship captain should try and change up the pattern, because we're all human. Humans are pretty good at recognizing patterns, so I knew that this player was going to go back to full speed. It's fairly obvious. But, you know, if maybe you were alternating between a quarter speed, half speed, 3/4, you know, throwing in the 3 like that might work out a little better. So there we go. Torpedoes are on the way for the Fuso. Bam. And there's my Kraken. Fantastic. It was, you know, hard-earned against that Fuso, and frankly, the Fuso put up a good fight. Nothing wrong with those maneuvers at all. And you can tell that even at the last minute, the Fuso was trying to get himself to slow down, right, to at least maybe only eat one of the torpedoes. One of those torpedoes, I think, still would have killed him, but didn't just give up, which was great to see. So we just have the Nagato remaining, and then we can call this a victory. So fantastic. I am in the base, capping the base, but I mean, I have no ambitions of actually capping. I want to kill the Nagato, but one of my allies takes the kill, so that is fantastic. Really good game here that was played out, and you know, you can see if you are aggressive and if you get the upper hand on North when you're on the west side, it can really work out to your advantage really, really well. Anyway, we can see, I mean, I did finish the battle. I got my Kraken, I got a devastating strike. I was just taking a look at some of the little challenges there going on. So the 5 kills, 6 torpedo hits, and 366,000 credits. So top of the team overall. And then going over to our damage done, not a whole lot of damage done, which was surprising, but then I thought, well, you know, I only did hit 6 torpedoes. I basically finished off a lot of players, except that buddy. That buddy had no idea what was going on. But anyway. Anyway, good battle. Great to see a Kraken here as well. Anyway, as always, leave any comments you have for me in the video comment section below. Hit the old like button if you did like today's video. Hit subscribe if you were not a subscriber. And as always, I do hope you enjoy the rest of your day.